You're watching Reality Check. Like with every time fuel prices shoot up, so does the political temperature. Now it's the BJP's turn as the party in power to be at the receiving end. Just as they cornered the Congress-led UPA when the BJP was in the opposition, now it's the opposition's turn to take on the government on the streets and online on surging prices. The government has passed the buck to the oil companies, Indian Oil and the like, for the hike, saying that fuel prices are not government regulated anymore and so they can't be blamed. It's up to the oil companies, the government argument goes, to fix prices based on global prices of crude oil, which is used to refine petrol. But first, let's just listen in to the finance minister there.
It is the oil marketing companies of India who will have to say whether they want to cut it down, whether they have to go up, because technically the oil prices have been freed. Government has no control over it. It is the marketing companies which import the crude, refine it, then distribute it, put the cost for logistics and everything else.
But as I said, do the numbers bear out the claims by all sides, centre, states, the oil companies? Because remember, if you look at the numbers, it's actually showing that global fuel prices are dropping, but in India they're rising. Global crude prices have dropped 15% from January of last year to January of this year, but in that same period, fuel prices in India have gone up anywhere between 7 to 11%. Let's look at the actual numbers. In January 2020, global crude was at about $64 a barrel, has fallen to about $55 a barrel this January. While in India, petrol prices, and this is benchmarked to Delhi, have risen in that same period from 75 to 84 rupees. In Mumbai, from 81 to 90 rupees. In Chennai, from 78 to 86 rupees. These are just an example from some big cities. Even if you look at the annual average price comparison, not just month versus month, but year versus year, crude fell from about $60 a barrel in 2019-20 to $43 a barrel in 2020-21. In the same period, the prices went up from 73 rupees to 80 rupees. This is again benchmarked to Delhi. And this, by the way, is part of a wider trend over the last 2 years. That's the chart that's up on the screen right now, that if you see the arrow, or rather the line which is marking petrol prices, has gone steadily upwards, or rather has remained largely high, even though crude prices have fallen and they've risen up again, but they seem to be still higher than the crude prices. Now let's understand what exactly is pushing up the price. Again, going back to this argument that the centre, the states, everyone washes their hand off it. The base price of petrol, the price at which it is sold by the oil companies to the fuel stations, the retail end, is roughly about 32 rupees right now. But then comes central excise added to 33 rupees, state VAT, VAT adds another 21 rupees, commissions etc. are a small portion, and that's why if you live in a place like Delhi, you will end up paying 90 rupees for a litre of fuel as of 16th of February. So in fact, central and state taxes make up almost 60% of the price of fuel. The centre's the lion's share, almost 40% of that, and the state government is about 23%. Not only that, the centre has been steadily increasing its tax or its excise on fuel. According to the Indian Express, in early 2020, it used to charge 20 rupees a litre. Now that's risen to 33 rupees a litre. So what about that claim of the finance minister that we have nothing to do with it? And even with the states, it's the same. Let's look at the top 5 states with the highest petrol prices right now, and let's look at how much they load onto it. So in Madhya Pradesh, where fuel is 99 rupees a litre, you have a 33% state VAT plus a 4.5 rupee per litre VAT plus a 1% cess. In Maharashtra, where again it's almost close to 100 rupees a litre, 26% VAT plus a 10 rupee or so per litre additional tax. In Rajasthan, which made headlines as the first state to hit the 100 rupee mark, 36% VAT plus 1.5 rupees a litre road development cess. Telangana, 94 rupees a litre, 36% VAT. Karnataka, 93 rupees a litre, 35% sales tax. All of this is because many people have pointed out that tax from fuel is a very important contributor to the income of center and the states, and that has only gone up. 2015-16, 5 years ago, the center was earning about 2 lakh crores from fuel taxes. 2019-20, that's gone up to almost 3 lakh crores, 2.9 lakh crores, just about. States too, look at that, same time period, from 1.6 lakh crores 5 years ago, it's now almost doubled to 2.2 lakh crores. In a way, despite her earlier attempts to deflect, the finance minister seems to acknowledge this. She also went on to say that, look, yes, it's true that we do earn from excise from fuel taxes, but what's the guarantee that if we start to lower it, the states won't as well, that they also need to lower it so that they don't otherwise become the beneficiary of this huge tax windfall. Let's listen.
Both the center and the states will have to talk. It's no good if just, moral high ground is gained by the center by saying, right, I bring down the excise to zero, I'm not taking anything from you, go about buying your petrol and diesel. I can do that if I have a certain guarantee that my revenue foregone will not be an opportunity for somebody else or anybody else to get into the space and say, I will gain that.
So the finance minister is saying, my revenue foregone, the revenue I will lose if I actually start to lower taxes on petrol and diesel, unless the states don't follow, they'll become the beneficiary of that it shouldn't go to them. So it's kind of like almost a chicken and an egg situation. Who's going to go first? Joining me tonight on the panel, we have with us Pankaj Joshi, spokesperson of the BJP Rajasthan, Pawan Khera, spokesperson of the Congress Party. We have Professor Om Prakash Mishra of the Trinamool Congress and Sushil Tripathi, former Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum. Pankaj Joshi ji, मैं आपके साथ स्टार्ट करना चाहता हूँ. बीजेपी ने बवाल खड़ा किया, राजस्थान में 100 रुपए टच हो गया पेट्रोल प्राइस, लेकिन हम खुद देख रहे हैं कि सेंटर भी इसके लिए जिम्मेदार है. सेंटर ने इंक्रीज किया है सेस और उसके वजह से पेट्रोल का प्राइस बढ़ा है. सेंटर को इससे खूब लागत मिल रही है, लाखों करोड़ में इससे टैक्स रेवेन्यू कमा रही है, तो जिम्मेदारी तो सीधा सेंटर पे है.
देखिए, मैं इसे कहना चाहूंगा कि जिम्मेदारी केवल जो है सेंटर की ही नहीं है, सेंटर और स्टेट की. जैसा देखिए ऑनरेबल फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने कहा कि जो चीजें हैं, क्योंकि देखिए यदि यही चीज होती तो सबसे पहले जो स्टेट सरकारों को जब जीएसटी का मामला आया, यदि ये जीएसटी के अंदर शामिल होता, यदि पेट्रोल और डीजल की प्राइसेस. एक सेकंड
सर, इससे पहले कि हम जैसे कहते हैं ना बक पासिंग की बात दूसरे को पास कर लें, पहले अपने जिम्मेदारी तो मैंने शुरू में फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर कहती हैं, एक सेकंड, शुरू में फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर कहती हैं हमारा इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है, ये तो ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज पे हमने छोड़ दिया है, वो मार्केट के हिसाब से चलते हैं, तो हमारा इसमें कुछ नहीं. फिर वो कह रही है हां हमारा रोल है, हम मानते हैं कि एक्साइज हम कम कर सकते हैं, लेकिन पहले स्टेट्स करें. भाई दोनों लॉजिक तो एक साथ नहीं हो सकती ना. तो मेरा कहना यह है कि क्या आप मानते हैं कि सेंटर अपने आप की पहले रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी देखे, स्टेट्स बाद में आए? सेंटर हैज अ रोल टू प्ले. आप सीधा एक्साइज कम कर दीजिए, प्राइस कम हो जाएगा.
देखिए जनता, मैं यही एक चीज बात कहना चाह रहा हूं. सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि देखिए कोई भी किसी चीज के ऊपर आज स्टेट का और सेंटर का आप देखिए कि स्टेट जो लगातार कहता था, लेकिन आप राजस्थान में देखिए, महाराष्ट्र में देखिए कि कम होने के बावजूद भी उन्होंने वेट बढ़ा दिया. मैं कह रहा हूं, मैं
यही कह रहा हूं पंकज जी, आपसे मैं बार बार पूछ रहा हूं, स्टेट्स पे मैं पूछ रहा हूं, मैं पवन खेड़ा साहब से यही सवाल पूछूंगा, बट मैं आपसे पहले पूछ रहा हूं कि आप बॉल को दूसरे को क्यों पास कर रहे हैं? खुद जिम्मेदारी लीजिए.
पास नहीं कर रहा.
एक सेकेंड, मेरा सवाल दोबारा मैं करता हूं. लेट मी आस्क अगेन, व्हाई डजंट, क्यों नहीं सेंटर एक्साइज कम कर दे? सिंपल.
देखिए जनता, मैं कह रहा हूं ना कि क्यों सेंटर और स्टेट दोनों के ही हाथ में नहीं रहे ना. जनता के हाथ में रहे चुनाव में कि जब जीएसटी में आ जाएगा तो ना तो सेंटर बढ़ा सकता ना स्टेट बढ़ा सकता, क्योंकि रीजन क्या है, जब जीएसटी काउंसलिंग बन जाएगी और जीएसटी काउंसलिंग में आ जाएगा तब बढ़ाने के लिए
अगर जीएसटी काउंसिल में आए या ना आए वो तो बाद की बात है, इस वक्त नहीं है जीएसटी के अंदर, तो व्हाई नॉट। मैं अगेन आई एम आस्किंग फॉर द थर्ड एंड लास्ट टाइम बिफोर आई मूव ऑन, जब तक ये नहीं होता या होता है सेंटर एक्साइज क्यों नहीं रिड्यूस कर देता?
अब मैं आता हूं, चलिए ठीक है, आपकी बात मैं मानता हूं, चलिए आपके प्रश्न को जो है वहां से हट जाता हूं मैं आता हूं। देखिए अभी जो कोविड के टाइम पर जो चीज हुई, क्योंकि जितने एक्सपेंडिचर्स हुए, क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, आपने फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर साहब को सुना और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा हम आने वाले लोगों के लिए कर्ज का बोझ जो है छोड़ करके नहीं जा सकते, हम उन पर कर्ज का बोझ नहीं डाल सकते, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, आज ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर जो पेट्रोलियम थे उन्होंने भी कहा कि जो अभी एकदम प्राइसेस इंक्रीजिंग हुई उसका जो रीजन है वो जो ओपेक और ओपेक प्लस कंट्रीज हैं उन्होंने जो प्राइसेस बढ़ाई और जो प्रोडक्शन उन्होंने कम कर दिया।
नहीं, एक सेकंड, नंबर वन, आप कह रहे हैं कि आप मान रहे हैं कि यू कांट लोअर एक्साइज बिकॉज कोविड के दौरान बहुत खर्चा हुआ और उसके लिए कहीं से पैसा चाहिए, चलिए इतना तो आप मान रहे हैं। दूसरा, जहां तक आपने ओपेक की बात की, जैसे हमने फैक्ट चेक में दिखाया, ग्लोबली ऑयल प्राइसेस गिर रही हैं, इंडिया में बढ़ रही हैं, तो ग्लोबल फैक्टर को अब लाना इस वक्त फैक्ट्स उसको नहीं मान रही। एनीवे, लेट मी कम टू पवन खेड़ा। पवन, डू यू buy this argument that the fact that the center can't reduce excise is because they're short of cash? And two, also, how do you justify attacking the government when your own states, Congress-run states, have also put very, very heavy taxation on petrol?
According to Mr. Joshi, there is a revenue shortfall because of COVID. I asked him, from 2014 onwards to this date, there has been a 820% hike in central excise on diesel and 258% hike in central excise on petrol. Now, were you always short of cash? What was the issue there? And number two, when we demitted office in May 2014, international crude oil was selling at $108 per barrel. This month, it was ranging from $53 to $64 per barrel. Yet, in 2014 May, petrol in Delhi was selling for 71 rupees and diesel was selling for 58 rupees. Today, you know the price. Tell me why. There is no way you can escape these questions. Don't blame the state governments. I think, Vasu, you also asked me about state governments, from what I could gather.
Yes.
Please do not blame the state governments.
Why not?
आप राज्यों को जीएसटी, उनके हिस्से का जीएसटी जो कि संविधान की शपथ लेकर आपने वादा किया था कि उनको देंगे, वो आप या तो देते नहीं है या समय पर नहीं देते. Don't expect the states to bear all the burdens.
Pawan Khera, one second. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, you're saying, are you trying to say that states are justified in also loading the petrol price with high surcharges and cesses because you don't get your GST refunds? Is that a fair defense?
Absolutely. If you speak to the state governments, forget which party is in power. You speak to Gujarat, you speak to Karnataka, you speak to any non-Congress state government also. They are bleeding to death. Their finances are in absolute chaos because of the way GST has been handled, because of the way center has ruined the federal structure of this. And it's very posh for Nirmala Sitharaman to come and say, oh, market decide करता है. अरे अगर market decide करता है तो market में तो कीमत कम हो गई, यहाँ को बढ़ती जा रही है.
Let me get
those posh statements from Nirmala Sitharaman won't work because she doesn't understand the E of economics.
Okay, I'll come to Pankaj Joshi.
Mr. Pankaj Joshi understands it better.
I want to come to the other panelists, but I just want to get a chance to get a response from Pankaj Joshi ji. आप कैसे इसका response देंगे कि ये तो कह रहे हैं कि percentage में कितना Pawan, what did you say? The percentage jump was
of 820% on diesel and 258% on petrol from 2014 to February this year.
हाँ जी पंकज जी.
खेड़ा साहब खेड़ा साहब जो है 2010 और 11 के अंदर जब आप जो है छोड़ करके गए थे, तब जो है बाहर की जो क्रेडिट एजेंसीज थी उन्होंने रेटिंग क्या कर रखी थी भारत की। और यदि आज कोई पिताजी अपना कर्ज छोड़ करके चला जाए और बेटा जो है गेट खोलने के लिए घबराए कि बाहर निकलते ही पैसे मांगने वाले खड़े हो जाएंगे, तब क्या करेंगे?
एक सेकंड
पंकज बताइए, 2012 में किसने कहा था, आपने क्या कहा था?
पंकज जी, अब आप सरकार में हैं। देखिए, अब आप कांग्रेस ने क्या किया, अब आप सरकार में हैं। सीधा सवाल ये है, नहीं, आप इस बात का जवाब दीजिए ना कि जो इतना बड़ा 200 से लेके 800% जो बड़ा है उसका बताइए।
यही कहा ना, देखिए आज जो प्राइसेस थी, मैं कह रहा हूं कि जब आप 2004 में आए थे तब डॉलर कितना था, 42 रुपीज था ना। और जब 2014 में छोड़ा था, जब 72 छोड़ा था कि नहीं छोड़ा था, आपने बताइए। 68 तो छोड़ा ही था, हैं? और आप मुझे बताइए कि 68 से अब मुझे बताइए ना, क्या बेसिकली ये चीज ठीक है कि नहीं है? आपने
नहीं सर, उन्होंने किया और हमने किया, ये क्या जवाब हुआ?
चलिए,
तो मतलब फिर आप और कांग्रेस में कोई फर्क ही नहीं है। नहीं,
बताइए कितना बड़ा
सवाल बस ये था कि व्हाट इज द जस्टिफिकेशन फॉर सच अ बिग हाइक? यू आर नॉट काइंड ऑफ आंसरिंग दैट। ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। प्रोफेसर ओम प्रकाश मिश्रा, वन सेकेंड। प्रोफेसर ओम प्रकाश मिश्रा, मैं आता हूं। प्रोफेसर ओम प्रकाश मिश्रा, is this defense of state governments that we also load the price of fuel because we are cash trapped? Is that defensible? Because some state governments, correct me if I'm wrong, West Bengal is one of them, have actually lowered their taxes and thereby brought down the price of the fuel.
Yes. Yes, as you know that rupees 1 has been slashed. But then clearly this is not enough. I should mention that complex center-state financial relations. The center has a much bigger pocket, and the state governments, irrespective of which political party is controlling them, they are not all that resource rich. So therefore, to equate the center and the state, this is not correct. Secondly,
when Nirmala Sitharaman says,
prices are going up. No, I know what she said.
No, I'm saying when she
says.
She is
right. Nirmala is right. She has used 2 words. No, I have heard her. She has said vexatious and she says obfuscating. Both these 2 terms actually apply to her and her position. You should know.
When she says, one second, let me ask the question. Mr. Mishra, one second. Mr. Mishra, hold on. I'm saying when she says that, listen, you can ask me to reduce excise, but if the states don't do it, then all the money I'll lose, the states get a windfall. They should also reduce it as well.
Well, I should say that Nirmala ji is so very wrong. She is equating the center's financial resource base with that of the states. Is very, very poor understanding of Indian economy.
Right.
I do not want to be very uncharitable toward her.
Right.
But I must say that this actually completely betrays the poor knowledge that she has. And then we know that the economic mismanagement has been the hallmark of this government.
Okay. Now it's getting a bit political. We are trying to broadly remain within the realm of facts. Okay, I'll come to you in a second. Let me just go to Mr. Tripathi, who's not had a chance. Mr. Tripathi, putting the politics aside, you've been in the system. We've tried to reach out to the oil marketing companies to understand why would, if it's all market benchmarked and indexed, why would prices be going up even though global prices are dropping? Is that because, as the numbers show, everybody, center, state, oil marketing companies, this is a great cash cow for everyone. So,
yes,
no one really has the moral higher ground here.
Yes. First, let us see what has happened after 2014. At that time, the crude oil prices were in the range of about $106 a barrel. So the taxes were reduced, and tax on diesel was 3 rupees a litre and petrol was 10.5 rupees a litre. And progressively, as the crude oil prices started coming down, the government collected more taxes, started raising taxes, and the full benefit, little benefit was passed on to consumers, but more benefit the government took in order to improve its financial position.
Yes.
And of course, the companies also benefited a little bit.
Right.
And the dealers' commission was restored to the full extent.
Right.
So in the beginning of 2020, the taxes were at 18 rupees a litre for diesel and 21 rupees a litre for petrol.
Right.
Then when the COVID struck,
yes,
the economies world over went into a tailspin.
Yes.
And crude oil prices dropped. They dropped to nearly $20 a barrel.
Yeah.
And remained between 20 and 30 for a couple of months. And thereafter in the range of $40.
Right.
So this was an opportunity for government to raise further taxes. And since the government resources, other resources were not really coming to full stream.
Yeah.
So the government again raised the taxes, 12 rupees a litre for petrol and 14 rupees a litre for
the facts
diesel,
we know.
Bringing it to nearly 33 rupees a litre for petrol and 32 rupees a litre for diesel. So now when the other taxes are, more or less, they have found the level.
Yes.
And in fact, in the month of December,
yeah,
the GST was 130,000 crores of rupees.
Yes, yes.
1,30,000 crores of rupees, which was the highest. And the economy is also more or less coming back to normalcy.
No, that's the facts
so
we
there
know.
is an expectation.
What is the point?
Expectation that at least that component of additional tax of 12 rupees and 14 rupees.
No, but sir, the big picture
should be brought back.
The point you are making, sir, just a second. The facts you've enumerated, though important, are known. We know how the tax has gone up and down. What I was trying to understand from you is, and this is essentially the point, Pankaj ji, कि यही जो कह रहे हैं कि जो कहा जाता है सरकार, हर सरकार ने डिफेंस यूज किया है कि अब हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है, हमने डीरेगुलेट कर दिया है, प्राइस मार्केट पे है. प्राइस एक सेकंड, I'll come back to you, sir. I'm going to Pankaj Joshi now. Pankaj Joshi जी, फैक्ट ये है कि प्राइस एक्चुअली गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल कर रही है. टैक्सेस को जोड़ते अल्टीमेटली प्राइस तो आप ही के हाथ में है कि जब पेट्रोल का प्राइस ग्लोबली गिर भी रहा है तब भी आप उसको यहां सस्ता नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप उस पर टैक्स को बढ़ा के ज्यादा कमा रहे हैं. इस बात को आप मानते क्यों नहीं है?
नहीं, देखिए हम इस चीज को मानने को तैयार हैं कि सरकार जो है, जो पेट्रोल प्राइसेस का जो फ्लक्चुएशन है उसमें से नहीं कमा रही है. सरकार जो ड्यूटी है उसमें से पैसा जो है वो ड्यूटी बढ़ा करके पैसा, जैसा त्रिपाठी जी ने कहा कि ड्यूटी बढ़ा करके उन्होंने अपना जो है फंड्स को जो है रिसोर्सेज को बड़ा किया है. ये बात बिल्कुल क्लियर, ठीक है, बिल्कुल सही बात है, इस चीज को मैं मानता हूं. लेकिन अब जो बात है कि आपने जो बात कही कि इन चीजों के अंदर सबसे बड़ी जो चीज है, जैसे अभी आप देखिए कि बजट के अंदर जो है 4 रुपए सेस लगा. जो भी सेस होता है डायरेक्टली पास ऑन होता है बेसिकली जो है कंज्यूमर के ऊपर. लेकिन वो जो 4 रुपया जो सेस लगाया वो सरकार ने कहा कि ये जो है बियर करेगी जो है खुद जो है सरकार. इट मींस जो है ड्यूटी में से 4 रुपया जो है वो जो है जाएगा किसानों के जो है सेस के अंदर. तो मैं यही कह रहा हूं कि जो चीजें रिसोर्सेज के लिए ट्रांसफर की जा रही है, क्योंकि आप दो चीजों पर ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. जी
पंकज जी, आप बात को थोड़ा सा घुमा रहे हैं, डोंट माइंड. फैक्ट ये है कि आई कम बैक टू दिस कि अगर सिर्फ रिसोर्सेज रेज करने के लिए आप ये कर रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब कंज्यूमर को जो ग्लोबली जो कम हो रहा है दाम, उसका कोई फायदा नहीं हो रहा, उसके लिए तो बढ़ रहा है ना. तो जो जनता परेशान है, रोडों सड़कों पे है, ऑपोजिशन आपको घेर रहा है, आप कह रहे हैं कि आप तब भी एक्साइज को नहीं लोअर करेंगे बिकॉज यू नीड द मनी. एंड पवन खेड़ा, यू आर सेइंग स्टेट्स कांट लोअर इट बिकॉज you are owed money from the center. So then Pawan Kheda, what's the solution? Because the state is, the ordinary consumer is stuck very, very quickly, I'm told, very short on time.
Vasu,
yes, go ahead.
Triggers an entire debate on direct taxes versus indirect taxes. Please do what you want to with direct taxes and not with indirect, because indirect taxes impact a lot of people, every single consumer.
Okay.
And it also ultimately leads to price rise of essential commodities because of transportation, fuel costs, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Why is it that the government is afraid of touching the direct taxes? Increase the direct taxes. Don't let the common man suffer.
Okay, direct taxes versus indirect taxes, as you said, that's another debate, but it'll have to be at another time because we're completely out of time. Thank you all so much for joining us on Reality Check. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.